Skin the Hardaway Southern T, back with another EP. And today I'm here with a little different. Today I'm here with a little different T. You know what I mean? This isn't necessarily about, boxing inside of the ring. This Southern T today is more so, about boxing outside of the ring and, a narrative being pushed on boxing, outside of the ring. Boxing, boxing boxing at its core is a beautiful sport. You know what I mean? By that I mean boxing at its core. I mean the actual boxing matches. When you get in there to see a guy, go in there and have to, outthink another man. A smaller man going to have to outthink, a bigger man. When you see a bigger man going there and he, more agile and more elegant, than a smaller man. It's beauty. It's a beauty in a jab fight. It's a beauty. It's beauty in throwing, your right hook. It's beauty in that foot movement and that dancing. You know what I mean? It's beauty in that shit. At its finest, boxing is a pure sport. The actual art of boxing itself. You know what I mean? But in the real world, you know what I mean? When you really get down to it, behind the closed doors, behind the scenes, the people who actually making boxing go, you know what I mean? The people who putting the money up, for a lot of these boxing events, the people that's running shit, the people that's running things, when it comes to, all of the stuff that we see outside of the ring, you know what I mean? Boxing is far from, and I mean far from, a pure sport. You know what I mean? Now, in the perfect world, it will be what's good. Shout out my guy MP, what the fuck? What's good? My guy DP Rocker. My guy Bruce Gold. Let me say what's up to y'all real quick before I get to going, because I know I'm finna get to going. Shout out my guy Big Slug. Said my man T. What's good, brother? Shout out my guy MP, what the fuck? What's good, brother? Appreciate you sliding through this jump. What's good? DP, my guy. What's good? Bruce Gas. What you smoking on, Bruce? What's good? Appreciate you sliding through this jump, Bruce. My brother Just Do. What's good? Just Do. Appreciate you sliding through this junk. Glad y'all good folks could make it. Can y'all do your boy a favor when y'all come on in and hit that like button for your boy? Greatly appreciate it. But yeah, everything, the business of boxing is dirty. Let's say that's how I'm gonna do. I'm gonna split it up like that. The business of boxing is a dirty game, but boxing in itself is pure. The actual sport, the sport that we love, is a pure thing. But the business of boxing, is a dirty game. In boxing in itself, there's a lot of narratives, being pushed. There's a lot of, behind the scenes where I'm working with this guy. So I'm gonna say this, about his company and everything that he do. Okay, well, I could partner with these guys, but I'm not gonna partner with these guys because those guys the competition. Now these two guys the competition too, but if you got us two working together, we be able to put these guys, out of business. You know what I mean? It's a lot of, it's a lot of that going on. It's a lot of side hand and underhand stuff, that's going on with the business of boxing. You know what I mean? And a big factor, a big part of that, with that stuff going on is media. The media that's being pushed out and the narratives, being pushed in the media. Now, this isn't me, that created this narrative. This isn't something that, I'm making up. No, this is something that I've heard. This is something that I've been the innocent bystander of and heard. This is something that people have brought to me directly and I've heard. This is something that I've, seen with my own eyes. And then I don't work for either of these companies. I don't work for Top Rank. I don't work for The Zone. I don't work for Probellum. I don't work for the PBC. You know what I mean? I don't work for anybody. Shout out my guy Case Avoid. Appreciate you sliding through this junk. Case Avoid. Y'all do your boy a favor. Y'all hit that like button when y'all roll on in. Greatly appreciate it. And yeah, me, I don't work for anybody, you know what I mean? So I don't got no horse. I don't got no horse in this race. Okay. I don't got no horse, you know what I mean, in this race at all. You know what I mean? But I hear a lot, in the boxing community, in the boxing world. Not from everybody, but from, certain people. And I hear it, I hear it quite often from certain people. And I also heard from people, with names in this good sport of boxing, you know what I mean? With names, I heard from figureheads, in this sport of boxing as well. I've heard, I couldn't tell you how many times I've heard somebody say or hint or mention that the fact that, oh well, the PBC may be going out of business, oh Fox may be going out of business, or the PBC don't get no money, they can't afford to get the fights. You got some people who even feel like that the PBC is the reason that Earl and Bud wasn't made. I had people even telling me that, oh well, the fight versus Earl and Bud could have got made, but the PBC, don't got the money for it. But they got the money to issue out a fight, with Canelo Alvarez. I just noticed myself. This is just me, being an observer, me being in it, me just looking, at shit, seeing shit, with my own eyes. I'm noticing this a lot of concentrated effort to, either point out or poke at or create issues with a certain, company, which in this case I'm talking about Fox and I'm talking about the PBC, right? You know what I mean? So that caused me to myself to just take a look at it and step back for a second and think like, okay, I got everybody saying, the PBC going out of business, the PBC this, PBC that, you know what I mean? So I just sat back and look, and I thought about in the most recent years. In the recent years, I just sat and I thought about who is really out here giving us the biggest fights, who is really out here giving us the fights that we want. You know what I mean? So I just started to think of, some of the biggest fights, in America, in boxing in general, that has happened, as of late. So I just, just recent memory, I mean, like huge fights on huge scales, right? Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, Canelo Alvarez, versus Caleb Plant, Ugas versus Manny Pacquiao. Any fight with Manny Pacquiao in it is a big fight. You know what I mean? I'm gonna even say Errol Spence versus Manny Pacquiao, because there is a fight, that was made. Errol Spence, just ended up getting injured in that fight. And what really got me to thinking about this is, in the mix of this Canelo Alvarez, and I'm doing a sudden tea later. I'm actually putting it together right now. You know what I mean? I'm doing a sudden tea later. In the midst of, this Canelo Alvarez fight and it having or not having, the attention that we think that it should have, or that Canelo Alvarez normally does have, in the wakes of all this, and in the wakes of this Earl Spence and David Benavidez being attached to the Jamal Charlo deal, as well. If you haven't heard, Errol Spence was attached to the Jamal Charlo deal as well. It came out that Canelo Alvarez, before he signed this fight with Dimitri Bivol, that he was about to fight Jamal Charlo, which had the people going. But it didn't happen that way. He ended up fighting Dimitri Bivol. So the contract details had came out about that. And again, Fox and PBC had laid out a whole bunch of money on the table for Canelo Alvarez, when the details of the contract came out. And this is where this came from, you know what I mean? People keep telling me that the PBC is going out of business and everything, but the business that's going on, the business at hand, isn't really saying it to me. In this contract that the PBC offered Canelo Alvarez, they offered Jamal Charlo to Canelo Alvarez for $45 million. And they also offer Errol Spence at a catchweight of 164, or David Benavidez at the full-blown, super middleweight weight of at 168. You know what I mean? So that's over $100 million that the PBC offer Canelo. Now, for you to tell me that the PBC going out of business, they don't got any money, well, they offer Canelo $100 million. And then you tell me, oh, well, it's the early reason that this fight didn't happen because, the PBC don't got the money to pay for it. You know what I mean? Well, the PBC also put on Caleb Plant versus Canelo Alvarez. So they already done paid Caleb Plant and Canelo Alvarez, $50 million. And then they offered another $50 million for Canelo and Charlo, and also another $55 million for Canelo versus Benavidez or Earl Spence, and they have put on the biggest fights, in recent memory that that we all can remember, right? Tyson Fury Wilder 3 times, you know what I mean? Jamal versus Brian Castano twice, it's about to be twice. Caleb Plant versus Canelo Alvarez, who's Canelo Alvarez, biggest payday, you know what I mean? Uh, just the biggest fights of year. And I mean, biggest fights by money wise. Biggest fights by if we talking money wise or we talking championships and things like that. They actually made bet K. I got you, K. They actually made Errol Spence versus Manny. I got you, Casey boy. They actually made Manny Pacquiao versus Errol Spence, which would have been another mega fight. You know what I mean in boxing. But Manny Pacquiao versus Jordanis Ugas is also another big fight in boxing. So people are constantly telling me that Fox and PBC is going out of business. Fox and PBC, don't really get money like that. Fox and the PBC may be breaking up with Fox. People are constantly hearing narrative after narrative after narrative after narrative being spewed. But this whole time, I got the PBC who was constantly giving me and putting out the biggest fights, offering the biggest bags to the fighters for the biggest fights. And again, I don't work for Top Rank. I don't work for The Zone. I don't work for PBC or nothing like that. I'm just looking at what's being put on the table. You know what I mean? It's a lot of narratives being pushed towards a certain company. And I'm hearing I don't hear rumors about Top Rank going out of business. The only time I heard about DAZN going out of business was when DAZN told us themselves that they were limiting their DAZN USA. You know what I mean? They cut back on their DAZN USA money, but DAZN told us that. You know what I mean? But I don't hear constant rumors and narratives being pushed, towards these other companies about, oh, well, they can't afford the money. They go be going out of business. They'll be, losing their contract, So I don't really hear that stuff about these other people. And I'm wondering to myself, why is it such a concentrated effort, towards Fox and the PBC, why does everybody want that particular company to go out of business so bad? Why is it such a concentrated effort, to demise Fox and the PBC? So, this is to as well. You know what I mean? If you hear, I want you to listen real quick. I'm gonna tell you why I think that there's a concentrated effort towards a certain company, and their fighters. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't know that Al Heyman and Bob Arum and all those guys used to work together. Oscar De La Hoya, all those guys used to work together. Type deal at HBO. There used to be open communications, open line with all of these guys, through the HBO box, and that's when all of the fighters had HBO, and everybody pretty much was on HBO before HBO went out of business when they were building Triple G and Adrian Broner and Canelo Alvarez. And even Floyd Mayweather, guys like that over there on that HBO stream, over there on that HBO stream. You know what I mean? So Al Heyman and all these Al Heyman, Bob, all these guys, Schaefer Probellum, the Probellum people too, as well. As well. They all used to work together. You know what I mean? Over there, but they ended up splitting. And when they split, the people that now run the PBC and Fox, you know what I mean? The people that now run the PBC and Fox, they took, most of the fighters with them to a new upstart company, which was upstarted about 8 years ago, at this point, 8 or 9 years ago, not even 9, about 7 or 8 years ago at this point. They took the majority of the fighters to a new company called the PBC and Fox, which is now, blossoming right in front of our eyes, which is the PBC and Fox. They took most of the fighters over there to the PBC and Fox, and they left, those other guys on the other side, De La Hoya, Arum and all those other guys, who were working together. They left them, in a scramble type deal. So before the PBC and Fox even got off the ground, You know what I mean? Top Rank, Bob Arum, they set out a suit. A suit. They sued the PBC and Fox for violating the Muhammad Ali Act. And if you don't know, the Muhammad Ali Act was invented so that the promoters couldn't be the managers of the boxers too as well and take out the boxers' money. Again, if you don't know, that rule was invented for said Bob Arum because he was promoting the fighters and being their manager and taking all the fighters' money. So they made that rule to stop Bob Arum. And it's crazy that Bob Arum took Al Heyman to court before the PBC even got off the ground, even before the PBC even got off the ground and sue him under the circumstances of the Muhammad Ali Act, which was created for him. So Bob Arum tried to sue this new upstart company that used to work with him and the other guys before the company even started. That company eventually won, and it won the case against Bob Arum, and it got off the ground. And now you see the PBC and Fox, blossoming like no other. Just in recent years, since they have gotten here, within the last 7 or 8 years, they have had their hands on majority of the biggest fights in boxing ever since they were created. You know what I mean? And I think that there's so much bad press and narrative being pushed at these people because the way that they do business, they don't use a promoter. They let the fighters promote themselves. They get the fighters their money. They just manage the fighters, direct them, and they advise them to fight here or they advise them to fight there. You know what I mean? They help get them fights. They help them make good decisions with their money. They're like advisors, not necessarily promoters. They're just helping them manage their money, putting them in the best position, the best spot to get their money. And there's another narrative that, the PBC fighters don't broke. They make a lot of money. They on stipends. The PBC is an advisory company. So the fights with the PBC will, they will stop you before you spend all your money because the goal with the PBC and Al Heyman is for fighters to have money after they retire as well while they are fighting. I'm going to say that again. The goal for the PBC and Al Heyman is for fighters to have money in their pocket, after they retire, which is why they do give fighters stipend. They don't give fighters all their money at this one time. They pass out to you accordingly. So in the end, you have money to retire with and things like that. The PBC is a living, breathing union, breathing insurance place without being an insurance place. That's their whole goal, is to make the fighters money. The way that the PBC and Fox make money is a detriment to the way that everybody else makes money, because the way that everybody else makes money, they want to keep all the money, for themselves and put the money in their pocket. You know what I mean? The goal of the PBC is to show you that where you're getting messed over at in the long run. You know what I mean? That's the goal of the PBC, really. So the way that they do business is really a detriment to everybody else. So that's why I personally think all these narratives are being pushed, about the PBC, because they tell you what's good, Batman. Appreciate you sliding through this jump, Batman. I'm in the jump cooking. I ain't gonna be here too much longer, Batman. I ain't gonna be here too much longer. So they tell you that, the PBC is going out of business. But if you look up and you look around, you still see the PBC out here, making the biggest fights. You know what I mean? So you could, you can believe what you hear, or you could, look for yourself, pay attention and really peep. They telling you, they telling you that, the PBC. Oh yeah, my bad. They're telling you that the PBC is going out of business and they doing it. But you look up in the PBC is the one with their name on all the big pay-per-views. The PBC just got Canelo their highest payday. The PBC just got Tyson Fury his highest payday. You know what I mean? You got the PBC out here is showing out $100 million, for Canelo Alvarez after already giving him 40 million. I just think that I just think it's weird that somebody always want to talk to me and tell me about Fox and PBC when I can clearly see them, giving us the best in the biggest fight as a whole. I got a certainty coming up later, you know what I mean, about, these Tyson Fury pay-per-view numbers and the real easy route. I know people, again, this is what I'm talking about, a narrative, being pushed towards the PBC and their fighters. People want to say, well, Earl took the easy route. People want to say, well, Earl pay-per-view numbers are skewed, but nobody cares about Tyson Fury pay-per numbers, and nobody really cares about the fighter out here who's really taking the easy route, especially with these details coming out about this PBC contract that just broke. You know what I mean? So stay tuned for my next Sudden T. It's coming up either pretty soon. I'm gonna see what my guy just do about the do. See what my guy Dwayne don't do, but be on the lookout for my next Sudden T, because I'm gonna get him, y'all. Make sure y'all tune in for that junk. But make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, tell a friend and tell a friend. That's all I got for this Sudden T. This all I got for this Sudden T. Sudden T, Skinner Hardaway Sudden T. This ain't the past, this ain't the future, but this the present. That's how we rocking. And I'm out. Love.